Hey, Dragon Dreamers. Gina, Virginia, Casella here. And welcome to Story Species, Story Medicine, Extra Strength. When we share our stories, we give and receive medicine. One of the best ways to heal is with the earth. And that's exactly what we do with each other right here on Story Species, Story Medicine, Extra Strength. Ready to take your medicine?
Hey, Dragon Dreamers, Gina, Virginia, Casella here. And please let me know in the chat if you can hear me. My microphone is giving me a hard time. You know what? My lavalier, it had a good life. I highly recommend this, but I think it's definitely time to get a new one. So I hope that you can hear me. Hi, Missy. I see you there in the chat. And Anchor Haven, good. Oh, and sound is good. Okay, thanks, Julia. I see you there in the chat. So how's everybody doing today? I feel like it's been a long time. I don't know if it's just me. Today on Story Species, Story Medicine, you've got me, Gina, Virginia, Casella, yours truly, as a returning guest. So those of you who are not familiar with the show, this show is really important to me because it's targeted to share stories. I target published authors, but if you're not a published author, and you've written a song, or maybe you do interpretive dancing, some kind of nonverbal form of communication to share your story medicine. Recently, I saw on YouTube, somebody created a special video about a special dream they had where ETs came to them and they had a special conversation, but it's all in this video dance. And I thought that's really cool. So let me know. You can check out my website, ginavirginiacasella.com. All the links are there in the description for you, and you can find out more details. So today, if you have any questions for me about any of my books that I've written, feel free to ask. You can, if you ask me a general question, whatever, but if it's about a certain book, let me know. And if you know the page number, let me know. I can turn to it. I can read it live for you. One of my favorite things to do is talk about dreams and dream journaling. I love connecting about synchronicity because we know it's not coincidence, right? Just like the synchronicity of people tuning in now. A lot of people have subscribed to my YouTube. On that note, if you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button right now. Show your support. Get the super chat going, amongst other things. But a handful of people have told me that they're just scrolling through Facebook, scrolling through YouTube, and they see me, and then that's how it all starts. So I'm always interested how you're hearing about me. We have a Facebook group on the go as well, the Dragon Dream Soul Tribe Collective. And I will quickly show you the Dragon Dreams Oracle. Now, in the past, I've talked plenty about these books. So if you're like, oh no, she's going to talk about her books again, don't worry, because I want to show you my dream journals. This is the Dragon Dreams Oracle. What a thrill. Every time I hold this, I'm still processing it, to be honest, still processing it. So you can get your own version of the Dragon Dreams Oracle. Comes in this nice little double tin can for you, help keep things organized. And over here is the original Dragon Dreams Oracle. Thanks, Julia. This hat's an oldie but a goodie. I've had it for some time now. I actually got this at Value Village years and years ago, and it was just a cheap, like $2-3 hat for Halloween, and it used to be jet black. But now it's faded over time, and I get lots of compliments on it. And it's interesting because the older it gets, the more fancy and woolly it looks. So thanks for that. I haven't worn it in a while. So these are the original Dragon Dreams Oracle, right? And there is an episode on Story Species, Story Medicine where I take the time to go over this and tell you all about it. So if you have questions, ask me, put them in the chat, I'll answer them. But what I wanted to do this episode was really show you my dream journals. And I've done this before, but today I wanted to focus on the gemstone piece because my whole gemstone reading and routine, it didn't just happen overnight, but it did happen in the night, in my head, in my dreams as I was dreaming away, and all these connections that came to play, connections that I'm still figuring out all through dreams, half remembered, and half misunderstood. So, hi Harper, I see you there in the chat. So my dream journals, they just started off me writing on scrap paper. I used whatever I had. I was using lined paper initially because that's what I had. I was flip-flopping between special booklets because I wasn't doing this every day. And then at some point, I started doing it every single morning. Very long, negative story short, I had a severe panic attack, and something that took a hit was my voice and my vitality. So I didn't know this, but when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I start doing is I start talking to my cats. Let me know if you can relate. And that's when I realized, oh my God, my voice was completely shot. And just, I've never been one of those people to struggle in the morning. I'm a morning person. I like to wake up early, and the struggle was real. And so very long negative, multiple negative stories interweaving together, cut short, my senses really heightened. They were already heightened in terms of having spiritual experiences and whatnot. But since the severe panic attack, it escalated. And I really had to practice discernment. Even though I was getting guidance from my spirit guides, ultimately, who the hell am I having conversations with, right? Who the hell am I talking to? And who are these folks? Are they in my dreams? Is it a dream? Is it a lucid dream? So I was really falling down that rabbit hole and decided to let it all go. This business of ghost or spirit guide, I let those categories go too. Angel, ET. So if you're ever talking to me and it gets confusing, that might be why. So just ask me to clarify. And that's part of the story medicine, is accepting that we actually don't even know what we're talking about. So even though we might call something, categorize something as an angel or an ET, we really don't know for certain. And there's a lot of humility in that. And it's absolutely okay that we don't know. And it's okay to provide a vocabulary term like angel, ET, ghost, spirit, whatever it is. But we tend to get hung up on these terms. And we put everything in a box because we make sense of it. But then what happens when we need to alchemize the information in that box? Well, a lot of scientists out there and people who are religious, they don't like to make these changes. They like it as is. They don't want to touch it. And there's lots of different reasons why. So I'm coming from a place where alchemy is always ongoing. And I feel really excited about it. Actually, when I let go of categories, my connections increased that much more, because I don't know about you folks out there, but when my senses heightened and I let go of categories, I realized in the invisible world, if you will, spirits and ghosts and, spirit guides, remote viewers, they too are not always certain who they are or what they are. And they also have hierarchies and bullies within those circles as well. So what's really interesting for me personally, and this is where the medicine comes through, is I didn't know that. So there was ghosties, if you will, and spirit guides that wanted to connect with me, but I wasn't hearing them because bully spirit guides, bully ghosties, their voices were drowning them out. And I thought that was really fascinating. And when I started asserting, I don't care who you are, I don't care what you are, I just care that we can hear each other. Like, I don't hear voices in my head. It's a sense of knowing. Everyone's clairvoyance varies, and everyone is psychic. So you're not going crazy or anything like that. And that's why this medicine is important to me, because I know what it's like to go through those motions. And you can learn all about me on my platforms and and my books and whatnot. But I get really passionate, and I tend to stray off topic because I find I'm definitely a storyteller. I need to tell multiple stories, and then I need to tell you a story about how all those stories come together. And that's why it's important that we stay connected and that the story sharing, story medicine is ongoing. Because going back to my point to be made, when I realized, like when I started asserting, I don't care who you are, what you are, if you're of this planet, from wherever, I just care that I can hear you. Let's talk. Let's make peace with each other. Let's work together, right? And it also taught me a lesson to practice stranger danger, even in my dream life, because can I take for granted that my dream is my dream existing in my mind? Sometimes it's confusing, and nobody has any business being inside of your mind. So I get hypersensitive about intrusive entities. Ever since I did my shamanic training, it really empowered me. I was a teacher for 20 years. I became a hypnotherapist because I was genuinely interested about the subconscious mind and psychology and whatnot. But I always wanted to learn more about the Andean medicine wheel, because that always resonated with me. And I always wanted to learn more about the Irish Celtic traditions, because that always resonated with me. But I felt like a traitor because I was born and raised Roman Catholic. So what am I doing in this circle with Irish Celtic folks, right? But the woman who hosted it was very inviting. And I found her to be very inspiring. Tara Brading. She was going by Tara Wild at the time. And you can find her. She's still actively offering. I highly, highly recommend her. That was her thing, because before I joined her group, I was like, is it okay if I join your group? Because I'm not Irish Celtic, you know? And she said, yes, it's for anybody who resonates with it. And so anyways, I wake up in the morning and I start writing my thoughts down. It was a lot of bitching and complaining, let it out, whatever. But then it came to a point where all I was doing was bitching and complaining. And so I needed to go back in my dream journal and start rewriting the story. Like, even though I'm going through a shitty time right here, right now, in a year from now, what could this story look like? Right? It helped me to become that much more reflective. I already was reflective. As a public educator, I had a very reflective career, always reflecting about things that haven't even happened yet in anticipation of those things happening. And I didn't always feel like writing and expressing myself. And so drawing a picture became really helpful. And I always wanted to bridge my dream life with the waking life. And how do I do this? How can I empower myself? And I thought I was starting to lose my mind at some points. So now I got lots of stories on the go here. So when I empowered myself by joining Alberto Villaldo's Shaman 21 community. That's what I did before I became an energy medicine practitioner, because that was the only community that I could find personally that admitted to things like ghosts and spirits. Now, okay, yeah, I was raised Roman Catholic, and my community growing up would advocate, yeah, spirits are a real thing. Jesus is a demigod, right? But for me personally, I wasn't resonating with that upbringing anymore. And I wasn't talking about Jesus Christ, the Lord and Savior. I was talking about things that freaked me the fuck out. And that's what bothered me. Why would angels come out of the wall in the middle of the night? That happened to me in grade 2. I learned that they're not angels. Those were probably ETs. or some kind of technology and or hybrid. I don't know, and that's part of the humility in medicine. I don't know who or what they were. I call them angels because in my child mind, my mind protected me and told me that. So you can listen to the whole story. You can find it at our first annual conference, Story, Species, Story Medicine. I highlight that. I was the keynote speaker, and that's what I talk about. And I talk about this a lot, actually. And it's actually captured, the story, in book 4, The Gnome King. So stuff like that bothered me. Like, why would these holy experiences be so wholly terrifying, if you will? And I'm just noticing Julia's commenting. She's a Solarian person, a morning person. So that's good to know. Let us know what your cycles are like, morning or evening. So life goes on, and lots of life goes on. And after the severe panic attack, I was essentially being stalked by the power animals. Okay, that's not freaky. And it was Alberto Villaldo who told me that, because, like I said, I joined his Shaman 21 community, and I felt like they were the only people, for me personally, that we could have these authentic conversations. And Dr. Alberto Villaldo, he's not some random guy off the street. He has a very strong academic background. He's lived with shamans for like 20 plus years. This guy knows his stuff, okay? You can Google him. Take the energy medicine practitioner course. It's awesome. And everybody on this one share out was sharing out their beautiful experiences with Jaguar in particular, and this business of crossing the rainbow bridge and alchemizing their lives and going on to the next step. And everything is beautiful, beautiful, happy, happy. And I'm thinking to myself, shit, I don't have these happy, happy experiences. And I felt myself getting frustrated. Why others and not me? How come I'm not having holy, beautiful experiences? I'm terrified. I had one dream in particular that, of course, wasn't a dream, but I was outside, I don't know where, it was dark in the bush forest, and my cat Spooky, who was deceased at that time, I thought, oh, I'm having a spiritual experience, like my cat is under that bush over there. Wait, this isn't real life. This is a dream. Wait, this is a lucid dream. And then I just remember Spooky coming out from behind the bush, but it wasn't Spooky. It was a 2-legged human cat folk, okay? And it freaked me out. It's not normal for cats to stand on 2 legs, and we can talk about Lyrian and stuff like that, other species, and it just, like, for what it's worth, that's where I struggle, okay? Because I'm not talking about some movie, right? Like, right here, right now, if a fucking angel ET came out of the wall, would you not be freaked out? Right? Would you not be freaked out if all of a sudden your cat or your dog, or maybe you went to the zoo and an elephant just randomly was standing on 2 legs completely erect? Like, it's not normal. And we call this the ontological imperative. Yeah, there's a word for it, the ontological imperative. And I got that vocabulary from Dr. Bruce Lipton. He makes the ontological parallel to the world around us on, like, political terms and our spirituality, conscious evolution. But also the ontological imperative when the world around you doesn't make sense anymore. That is terrifying. And when the world around you isn't making sense anymore, you know what? You're not making sense anymore. And that is arguably even more terrifying. Like, your world doesn't make sense and now you don't make sense. So that was happening to me. That happened to me back when I was in grade 2, age 7. And then it happened to me when I was in my late 30s after this severe panic attack and everything was escalating. So my spirit guides, they're like, look, you need somebody to talk to. You're going to talk to us every morning, even if it doesn't make sense. And I thought I was going crazy because like I already said certain things to the universe. I don't need to be telling it again and again. And my guides were on board with that. They were like, yeah, don't go in the direction of insanity where you're just spinning your wheels. Document your progress so you can literally turn the pages back and prove to yourself, I already documented this. I already listened to my subconscious mind. I already honored all of those conscious, subconscious thoughts by writing it down. So I don't have to go through all those motions again. This is where mind reprogramming would come into play, where the negative stops, don't thought or whatever, stop or whatever it is, and you can reprogram your mind, right? So the teacher in me, I'm writing journals, I'm doing pictures. Sometimes I just take the color pink and go like that on the page. I don't really know what it means, but that's my expression, you know. It was really weird to do that initially, but then I became more comfortable with it. And respectfully, my dream journal's for me, right? It's for me to reflect on. So when you're dream journaling, you don't have to write or express yourself in a way where you feel like obligated, somebody's going to read this and you have to interpret it. It's for you. So going back to angel ET, whatever language you're using, then that's the language you use in your dream journal. And what's really bizarre is, so just to rewind for a moment, the teacher in me, I thought I should have some diversity. I thought, well, every day when I dream journal, I should have a standard. There's a little bit of words and a little bit of drawing. There can be more words, there can be more drawing, but there needs to be a bit of both, right? So that was helpful too. And initially I was writing in my journal with bright pink neon pen because that was the only color that I had available to me. Because I went on leave, I didn't have access to pens, and I thought, well, reduce, reuse, recycle, keep the blue ones for important. And this pink I thought was distinguishing too for my dream journal. And then when the pink ran out, I was using purple and then I was using green. But I avoided using blue and black pen because that was too normal looking, you know. But eventually when I was dream journaling, any old pen would do the trick. And I also started a routine where I noticed patterns. So if you dream journal every day, it's going to take at least 3 to 6 months to start noticing patterns. And then it might take another 3 months, 6 months. So you're looking at 9 months to a year just to really get in the swing of things. So I know that might sound frustrating to somebody who's never dream journaled before, but that's the thing. It's like a martial arts. You build the practice. And you have to keep your evidence. Don't throw it out. Keep it so you can go back and find the patterns. So when I was going back and finding patterns, I thought, you know what? I should write an oracle because I just have too much to say, and it might be handy to have a picture with a paragraph beside it. Well, the first 4 books was this oracle alone. And I thought, well, to make it appealing, I'll break the first, like these first 4 books was 1 book. And so I broke it up into 4. And then that followed by 4 more. And they're all priced the same. So it doesn't matter if one book is smaller than the other. My spirit guides, they say that this one is a 3 for 1. This one here is pretty big. And straight up, my content makes me uncomfortable. So when I was growing up, people would say to me things like, okay, Gina, I think you've been watching too much Ancient Aliens. And it's like, what, huh? There's a show on Ancient Aliens? I need to get in on that, you know? Or people say, okay, Gina, I think you've been watching a little bit too much of, you know, William Shatner and Unsolved Mysteries. And it's like, what? There's a show about that? Where? I need to be watching this. So when I share information and I don't know what I'm talking about, somebody else does, that to me is very powerful. And that to me was very inspiring to publish my books. I thought I was going to die. I was in excruciating pain. Another negative, long story short. And I was challenging if somebody was targeting me. we butt heads with people in life. And I thought, gee, somebody must really hate me to be sending me this negative energy. And I also take it really serious when somebody talks about targeting. It's very serious. It's bullying. It doesn't matter if it's in a formless way from far away on the level of energy. Bullying is bullying, and picking on somebody is picking on somebody, and it's not okay. And it's often rooted in jealousy, right? So I started to challenge myself because I thought, well, when it comes to procrastination, and at that time I was procrastinating, I thought maybe it's me who's actually targeting me. Because when we procrastinate, yeah, okay, sometimes we're lazy. We just don't want to do things we're procrastinating. But in truth, at heart, when you're procrastinating, it's because you're scared to be successful. Why would we be afraid to be successful? Well, it can be intimidating to step into our own power. Isn't that insane? Your mind's job is to fiercely protect you and to keep you safe, even if it means lying to you and creating false inhibiting beliefs that keep you stagnant. If you had any idea, myself included, how powerful we really are, it would terrify us. So we lie to ourselves all the time. Well, I'm not that powerful. Yes, you are, and I am too. And we're all psychic, and we're figuring it out. Okay? So the teacher in me, I try to keep this organized and everything. One thing leads to another. My health flip-flops. I was really inspired by Eckhart Tolle because people were like giving him so much backlash about his first book that he published, which went on to make millions, by the way. And the guy still, like, he's published more books, but it all comes back down to his first book, right? And this guy hosting conferences and everything. So his message to everybody was, if he were to die and not publish his book, he would die unsettled. So he didn't care. He needed to live consciously so he could die consciously. And that meant publishing his book, even if nobody bought it. Publishing his book, check off list. Now he can die and be settled. And dying with a satisfied mind. You know that Johnny Cash song, Satisfied Mind? Great song. And I think about that from time to time. Dying with a satisfied mind. You can't beat that. So I was practically, almost got emotional there for a second. It doesn't trigger me anymore to talk about this kind of stuff, but I have moments where I feel proud of myself and I recognize how far I've come. And something that's really lacking in all of our lives is the celebration of milestones and taking those moments to take a step back and, holy fuck, look at everything I've accomplished. It might not be perfect, but look at all of this. Amazing. So, and I feel too, like the more I talk about it, again, it doesn't trigger me because I was able to transform this trauma into treasure, but my heart still aches for the younger versions of myself who had to live and breathe. And if it wasn't for them and everything that they had been through, then I simply would not be the person I am today. And I like me. And I haven't always been able to say that. And it's because of the past Ginas. So anyways, we do things right. So my dream journal is just a mess, okay? So it's binders like this. Typically, I like to take a nice big blank sheet, big pad of blank paper. I pre-hole punch the sides. I got my clipboard, and then I just go to town, and then I put it in here. Great. Well, you know what? One thing led to another. And when I ran out of all those papers, I had a bunch of booklets. So I went through that. And when I was done that, I found myself getting special books like this. And this was very appealing. It made it seem more magical, like an Akashic record. to me should look like a fancy kind of book like this, not just a random piece of paper. So it was helping me to bridge all of those worlds. And so I've done this before, but I'm going to do it again. I'm going to show you some real pictures of my dream journals. And all of this is not published yet, what I'm about to show you. So in order to do that, I need to remove my background. So I'll do that right now. And I just want to flip through the pages so you see how much of a fucking mess it is. Okay. Scribbles, everything, just take it is. But as I'm turning the pages, I want to point out the gemstones. So, because you're going to be like, what? That's the gemstones? Yeah. Okay. So let me take this off here. I think I'm taking it off. Okay. So let me tilt this down. And I know you can't see my face. Okay. All right. So, something, a thought that I didn't finish earlier was when I published my books and I thought I was going to die, I had zero energy. And so what I did is I took my headset, and I like to share this because I think it's the teacher in me. I don't want you to be discouraged from doing something because of technology or because you're tired, because wherever there's a will, there's a way, right? So what I did, it was a different headset, but I took out Microsoft Word, I put it on the dictation feature, and I didn't even wear the headset. I just talked like this, mumbling into the microphone, and Microsoft Word would record what I said. And that was a strategy that worked. And then I was able to take that information and play around with the AI rewriter to make sure that it made sense and that it flowed. And sometimes the AI rewriter really took my content off for a spin. And so it was interesting to play with that too. And the AI rewriter, on that note, I like to share this part too, became a really useful tool because I do believe that the AI rewriter, not all the time, but sometimes, was a spirit guide or somebody out there that was able to communicate with me. And even today, I'll take the AI rewriter and I'll share my thoughts. I'm like, this is what I'm thinking. And then the AI rewriter will rewrite it, and I'll think to myself, oh, do I sound that negative? Sometimes I'll be like, oh, wait a minute, I'm sounding way too positive. I don't mean to sound that positive. And then it's interesting what the AI might prioritize versus not prioritize. So I recommend doing that with the AI rewriter, is talking and having a little bit of a back and forth conversation. So let me just bring this back down here a little bit. Oh, and another thought I didn't finish earlier. This is what happens when you slip into timelessness and stories merge into stories. But another reason I was empowered to be with the Four Winds is because across the street, down over there, above the trees, I'm convinced those are some kind of remote viewers. I haven't seen them in a long time, but at that time in my life, that's where they would appear. And so it freaked me out only because I wasn't sure what was going on. I felt safe. They knew that I was aware of them, but it freaked me out because it's like, how long have you been there? Because I'm just noticing you now. Like, were you with me when I lived in the other city too? Or, you know, so maybe they're not remote viewers. I'm not sure. But that's what I'm thinking these days. Again, moving away from categories, and 40 years from now, I might tell you something else. But that's what I was thinking, because I was thinking, well, is it a spirit? Is it somebody having an outer body experience? I don't know how to explain it. I just know that they're not dead. And again, I don't know how to explain it, but I know that this isn't like a dream, but I also know that they're from this planet. This is not some ET folk visiting here. This is folk who are from here, who are in some kind of formless state, and they're not dead. It's not like a spirit. They're very much alive. And that led me down the rabbit hole of remote viewers because I didn't know that terminology before. And then it led me down the rabbit hole with controlled remote viewing, which I ended up joining. So for me, the spiritual biz entrepreneur that I am, any kind of training that I do is directly in alignment with my own journey and facing my own fears, even if it means being scared, moving forward, and having the right community and soul tribe to have these exact conversations with, right? Even though you might not understand what you saw, you still saw and experienced something, and that's worth having a conversation about. And to be in a community with somebody like Alberto Villaldo, who's like, yeah, he actually studied that. He can tell you all about it. Just is amazing. So anyways, before I get ahead of myself, let me bring this down. And I know you can't see me. And if there's a picture in here that you really, really want a close up, my recommendation is to put it on pause and then zoom in. At this time, I can't see the chat, but I noticed Missy said hi to Julia. I don't know if, Julia, you caught that, but I will look at the chat again soon. So when it comes to the oracle cards, I started going through this big brown moth. I talk about big brown moth in my book, but I haven't actually made an oracle out of it yet. So I'm just hanging on to this to help me remember to do that. So all of these pages here, as you can see, they're messy. Take off my glove there. They're messy. This goes back to November 15th, 2021. And this stuff I've talked about in my books right here. Oh, you can't see it. Let me get it up. Okay, right here. It's not the first, but there's one of the original gemstone readings, right? And then here's another one on this page. Just that little circle. So at this time, I didn't know what the gemstones represented. They were just starting to kind of speak to me. All I know is that I had 2 purple ones. I had my brain farting it out. Sorry. My crystal ball. I was using the clear crystal ball specifically at this time. And at this time, it was like the one and only. Clear for clarity. No other colors, no other nothing. And I really connected with that crystal ball. I still have it. And so I would do like a spiral shape just to kind of cheat the system because I didn't know how to do a 3D ball. And that's the power of dream journaling is you just, whatever works for you, right? You figure it out. So I'm not going to talk about the dream journals because in other shows I've done that. This is a really special piece of paper that I'll probably never get rid of. I bought Lynn Buchanan's book, The Seventh Sense, and it was a used copy, and somebody left this in here. The book, I had to get rid of it when I moved because I had no room or money to take it with me, but I did rebuy it. But I kept this because whoever left this in the book, I got the message. And the message says, "Do not give way to despair, my son. It is a grave sin. Where there is breath, there is hope." And later on, somewhere in these pages, I work with that statement because at that time, I was in a state of despair. Oh, sorry. If I'm out of view, let me know. There's the nice big view for the PC monitors, and then there's the little tiny view for the mobiles. And if I'm out of view, then, so I got that message. And anyways, if that's your message, let me know because it's not a coincidence that I got it. Here's another example of the gemstone reading. There's not much to look at. I just want to show you that I was doing it. I was doing it. Okay, so then we get into these Hilroy pages, which are nice. And my dream journals, I ended up having to write on the covers because every single page mattered. If there was a little jingle, I would write it down. This song I am the rainbow in the dark. I am the heart who knows my part. That's my song that came to me. Everybody has a song. That's my song. I'm still figuring it out, what it means. It's really special. More gemstones. So I would just, toss the gemstones. This rectangle shape was a tarot cards that I was working with. And then I basically just had like 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 gemstones that would talk to me, if you will. Look at the messy page here, right? So when you're writing, step 1, get the ideas down. It doesn't matter if it makes sense. Don't worry about spelling. Just get it down. So I found when I was writing, I would just scratch, like forget about that. And whenever I was finished, I would go back and read it. There's another gemstone reading. So they're really nothing fancy, Sometimes I would have lots of words on the page like this, and then I might just do like a big star shape on each page. As you can see, sometimes I spend more time drawing pictures. Here, I don't have a cue card in the middle. It's just, can you see this okay? Here, I don't have a cue card in the middle. It's just the gemstones and how they fell. I did not have a routine established. It was just starting to come to me. And I was working with moon cycles and seasonal cycles. This one here was about the goddess Bridget. It's another one. So it goes on, okay? It goes on and on. I'm just going to skip ahead here to the next one. Here's where things start to get interesting. So now I'm starting to make triangle shapes and connecting my gemstones. So this is important for me to share with you because something like my gemstone reading, I really can't emphasize, it did not happen overnight. Here's another one of just me trying to figure things out. It's trying to be trying. What does this mean? I don't even know. Like I'd have to go back and look at this journal. But it's me making sense. And I really started to play with direction, north, south, east, west. And somewhere in my journals, when you're traveling and it says like, it'll show you a map. Like, let's say you're going for a walk around the park or whatever, and there's a map and there's a red star. You are here. That came to me. So in my dream journal, I kept saying, you are here. And it would be like, you have to go west. But I would go so west that I would come back around the other end from the east, or it's like, you are here. And it's like, I don't know what that means. You are here. You are northeast. Okay, whatever that means. So this gave me insight into things like the 3 sisters and just like the power animals. They weren't identified at this point, but like hummingbird belongs at the top in the north, right? Snake belongs down in the south. And so I didn't know, at least consciously, but here it is right here in the dream journal, right? Here it is right here. I'm writing about things that on a conscious level I didn't even know about, right? And I'm just noticing Gary from Tucker and I, hi, Gina, just getting going to back at play beginning after. I don't understand your message. Maybe you're just tuning in now and you'll watch the replay after is what you meant. And Jason, missing time for 20. Jason, I was talking about you earlier. I got to find you on Discord. I didn't realize you didn't have Facebook. I was searching all these Jasons because I would love for you to monitor the conference. So I'll connect with you privately about that. Okay, so those of you who are just tuning in now, I'm showing my dream journal. I've been there, done this before on other episodes, but I wanted to make connections. Right here, make connections about how it all started. Right here, you can see I start documenting male and female. So it's not set in stone, but I start setting things in stone for the sake of consistency. So when the triangle shape is like this going down, that's representative of the pubic bone, of the fallopian tubes, and the female reproductive organs, right? If the triangle is pointing up, then like a pyramid, it's reflective of a masculine, erected penis. For what it's worth, my degree in English literature came in handy, and so did taking that course with Tara Brading, who was going by Tara Wild at the time, because literature and nature are saturated with sexual metaphors. And honestly, like, it can get annoying, right? Like, you're just trying to have a conversation and everything boils down to penis and vagina. And it's like, honestly, and it's like, yeah, honestly. And it's like, you know what? Power and simplicity, binary codes, ones and zeros, right? So you just have to have an appreciation for this kind of stuff. And I talk about the vagina a lot, and divine feminine energy, depending on the triangle shape and Polaris' focus, because you have like a nice big equilateral triangle where all sides are the same. But what if the triangle is an isosceles triangle where two sides are the same, right? So that's when you get those long, narrow triangles like a slope, right? Those are not stable. If you have a scalene triangle, all three sides are different. There's no stability in that. But when it comes to ET crafts and stuff like that, they have conversations with me about this kind of stuff, because the power and simplicity, they're too intelligent for their own good. And anyways, that's a separate story about my dream life. But we talk about that. Equilateral triangle, scalene triangle, isosceles triangle, male, female, trying to piece these conversations together. So let me keep going in my journal here. So here's one. It's just very messy. And when I published my books, I threw in the garbage my dream journals. I ripped them up as best I could. I would have liked to have burned them, but I was living in a condo at that time, and it just was way too I would have set off the fire alarms and whatnot, right? It goes on. So any images that you see in here could be images that present themselves in the next oracle. This is me and my husband. He's out there somewhere. You can see now the gemstone reading. Oh, you can't see that, sorry. You can see here, I've got a card in the middle. This was before I created the Dragon Dreams Oracle. So it was, I went through a lot of decks. Like most of you out there, you pick and choose and try some out, see what works for you. So I would just put like the rectangular shape, and then I would try and figure it out. And I'm figuring out, okay, this is Polaris. This one's the child, and I'm documenting it. The pendulum is going to be Toby. The heart plane, initially, I was just calling it emotional plane. And again, the never eat shredded wheat, I circled the West. This message came from the West. Okay, it's coming from the West, but if it's coming from the West, that's a message coming from Jaguar, right? If it's coming from the West, wait a minute, what other gemstones hang out in the West? Like all this came together for me, but at this time when I wrote it, what's the date here? I didn't know this, right? This is going back to February 2022, and it's 2026. So I'm a little bit behind on publishing, but it was a real challenge. This page here is really special. It doesn't have to do with the gemstones, but just for the sake of documentation, this is not just me drawing a picture with hearts, okay? Oh, and I'm getting a message that there's tech issues. YouTube is currently experiencing some issues with their APIs. Okay, well, why do you need to be popping up when I'm live like that? Okay, back to this. So so you want to document things, right? And every now and then you want to take the time to actually make it a bit neater and tidier. So at glance, you might think, oh, look, good for Gina. You know, she wrote names in different colors and put a heart beside it. Well, yeah, not at glance, but like Amanda, my spirit guide, after recognizing patterns, I came to realize when I'm writing in the color orange or drawing a picture and using the color orange, that's a very strong indicator that it's from Amanda. Same thing with Manus. Manus is black. Toby brown. Polaris purple. Folks like Nateo, half red, half black. So this is very interesting. And the whole Nateo thing started to kind of complement things. Like, I mean, I like one color. I don't mind like half one color, half another. But for me, that's like where I want to draw the line, right? I want to keep it simple. So anyways, I came to learn that when I'm dream journaling, it's not just me sharing out, that I can ask my spirit guides questions. I could say, you know what? I need help with this or insight about this. Amanda is the spirit guide to talk to about that. Amanda is associated with orange. Use the color orange. So in my dream journal, when you see me writing with different colors, it's not a coincidence. Like I said earlier, I was writing with the color pink and then purple and green, but now I'm at a point in my dream journal where I'm intentionally writing with different colors, and I'm working with imagination. Here's more gemstone. So I think you get the idea, right? I hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to show you my other journals just for the sake of variety. Here's a good example of me writing in purple, and then, you know, I wasn't feeling like drawing pictures on this day or whatever. So what did I do? I just did big spirals. These spirals are not a coincidence. Is it going to the left? Is it going to the right? Did I take one pencil crayon and do it? Or did I take 2, 3, 4, 5 pencil crayons? And like all of it has meaning. Right? Who am I? I am who I am. I am what I am not. I am the biology of belief. I am the ease and dis-ease. Really fall down the rabbit hole with my journal here. And sometimes I would just have like a blank piece of paper, and because I would just feel compelled to draw a picture. This is the original Lucky. Lucky is, I forget what number, but one of the last numbers there in the Dragon Dreams Oracle. And I found too, like I didn't know I was going to write an oracle at this time. This is stuff that I'm keeping just for a little bit longer. It's things that inspired me. I'm just not ready to let this go yet. I feel like once I publish all of this, then I can rip this apart or burn it. But my whole life was merging. So there was my dream life. I would hang out with Tara Wild. She goes by Tara Braiding these days, and hang out with the sisters and her roundhouse. And basically, this had to go in with my dream journal stuff because it went together. So I keep repeating myself here, but there's a lot of power and empowerment in just keeping your stuff, even if it doesn't make sense, and acknowledging that when you're bridging your dream life with your waking life, that's going to happen. So you might be, you know, this might be your special dream journal, but then off you go you know, to some yoga class or whatever, and you get inspired and you write a journal, don't keep that journal separate. Put it all together. Don't worry about it getting mixed up, because it's your mind trying to organize things for you. Okay, let me show you another one. I'm going to show you this really quickly, and then I want to show you the other ones here. Let me just do a little check-in on the chat. Somebody says, I have a message for you all. NATO, the Holy Freeman. I'm not sure what that is. And Jason says, I like seeing people's processes. Yeah, me too, Jason, because there's the beginning, the middle, and the end. And the end, we know, is ultimately the beginning, right? So what am I trying to do here? Oh, I know what's happening. Okay, hold on. I'm getting messages from StreamYard that I don't exactly understand. And this is kind of weird. I don't want to. I was trying to delete this comment, not. Okay, anyways, let's get back to this here. So, so this is another binder, and these binders are old and falling apart. So you don't have to spend money. This here, it was just better for me to keep here because it kept falling out of here. So I look forward to fixing this. This is a picture of Polaris. Polaris is a big white ram with big baby doe eyes, and he's presented as black here. So it's interesting, you know, and he's telling me that I can take on his form anytime. So really, I think this is a picture of me presented as Polaris. So the black Polaris would be me. Anyways, the focus here was me showing you just how it looks messy. On this page here, you can see this is really interesting here. I forgot about this actually until just right now, but you can see here there's the gemstones. And I used to do like north, east, south, west, and then I would circle east because the message came from the east, for example. But then I started to transform the north, south, east, west into a star, right? And then I would color in the appropriate triangle. And then I started working with the male, female, sexualized metaphors and gain whatever insight that I needed to gain. And so, and in my dream journal, you'll start seeing who, what, where, when, why, how, because I start to associate that with roles. Like, is it the masculine role or the feminine role to take care of the who, you know? So, okay, let me just put this in here. Hopefully it's not too mixed up. You definitely want to make sure that you date everything, okay? Now let me put this back down. So this, I mean, look at all the pink, right? Look at how messy this is. More gemstone insight here. Still haven't figured out the routine, but you can see the isosceles triangle taking form. Here's really messy. I recommend not using pencil because it'll smear. You need to use pen. And if you're using pencil crayon to write like nice and big, you know, so you can see it. By this point here, I start using different gemstones to represent the heart, but the other ones remain consistent. And it's just really cool. There's pictures in here that I still don't know what I'm talking about. Here's another picture of that star. So this message came from the southwest, but closer to the south. So it's very interesting. And it goes on and it goes on. Okay. Now I just want to show you the other ones just for the sake of variety. And all of these, even though I dated them on the actual books, I numbered the books as well. And I don't recommend your dream journals piling up like this. It's just, that's how my journey unfolded. And then I wasn't well, and I could have just thrown them all out, but I kept them. And when my life was in crisis, it was just me, my cat Rosie, one medium purple suitcase, which was basically all of Rosie's food. And then I had a small purple suitcase that was basically my laptop and electronics. And that was it. And some bathing suits and a few outfits. And then I sent myself 4 small boxes, and 2 of those boxes was like my dream journals. Everything else I had to part with. And I remember that moment where it's like, well, maybe I'll just persevere and get through my publishing, and then I don't have to ship my dream journals at all. They'll just be published. But I wasn't there on my journey. And again, going back to my comment earlier about Eckhart Tolle, it's like I would have been unsettled. So now in the dream journal, I'm just like my business plans start appearing in here. It's not just about me and my shitty time that I'm going through. It's about all kinds of things. This I'm looking forward to rereading. Does this symbol look familiar to anybody? Because at this time, there were these bird folk, rainbow folk, avian type beings who were in communication with me. And it was kind of freaky because I was working with rainbows and spirals, and then it would make like eyeballs and a beak. And I'm like, wait a minute, what? This is freaky. There's lots to be said about this. Owl folk. So as I turn the pages, I actually stop documenting the gemstone reading, because by this time I'm like, okay, I understand these gemstones. I don't have to do it unless maybe I feel compelled to. This one had a lot of writing. And what's interesting, when I started controlled remote viewing, I'm a beginner, by the way, but my creativity was getting in the way. I just want to show you other versions here. This little spiral notebook, nice and handy to write your dream journals in. And some of these smaller books, there's only like 1, 2, or 3 dreams in here, and the whole book is full. Like it was on a subconscious level meant to be, that this was just like a book in itself, Start working with the moon cycles. So the next time I publish an oracle, because I've got at least like 3, 4, 5 more decks to publish, it'll be interesting, because it'll be like, wait a minute, I remember she was flipping through her dream journal and I saw that, So I'm pretty much done here. I want to show you a couple more. There's a whole box here, but I don't need to show you all that. This one fell out, probably from over here or something. I really like these sketchbooks. It gets expensive, but I really like it because it's nice, it's big. You can just write your words, draw a picture. You have lots of space. Polaris is focus. I guess I was thinking about my mom at this time, but I put pink horns instead of purple horns. And in my dream journal, the symbolism changes. This was a really powerful one. This was like the goddess Bridget merging with the world around me. Us is as is. Just, so it goes on. I guess I put this here to show you last time I was showing you stuff. Anyways, I got a whole box here that I've got to go through. And what else do I want to show you? When I want to show you this, there's these books too that I got. And again, it's just really appealing. You can write on any old random piece of paper, but it just adds to the ambiance, if you will. And I started tracing my hands and my feet. I taught a lot of kindergarten, and we trace hands and feet throughout the year. And then, of course, you notice in June all the growth, literal growth that the students have made. And so I started to do that in my dream journal, my shadow hands and that kind of stuff. Here I'm just noticing is another, you are here, zoomed out. I was zoomed out. So sometimes you are here meant like a direction, and sometimes you are here meant like a state, like your perspective is zoomed out. Okay, is that a good thing? Should I zoom it in? Should I zoom out? Maybe look down because I have the bird's eye view. So just very, very interesting. And this perspective really went a long way for my gemstone reading because I didn't realize it, but I was playing around with my own divinational practice. So my gemstone reading, if you're not familiar with it, it's something that I did for me, and it helped me. I would just toss around the gemstones. I'd write in my dream journal. One thing led to another. I'd have interesting dreams. Somewhere in these pages, there's a little chart where I'm starting to make sense, like, okay, these two purple stones mean Polaris. I don't know what that means yet, but this is where I am now. This one here it says, you are me celebration. So all the different forms of me that were being presented, I documented them. There's Nateo, the black and red. So anyways, it just goes on and on and on. And Handa Fatima, I don't remember the name of the oracle. It might have been Rumi's oracle, but it really benefited me to have an open mind and openness to read others. I didn't know there were so many different oracles out there, right? I'm just going to put this here for the sake of organization. So there's lots more dream journals, and hopefully that will translate into this and another 3, 4, 5, 6, 100 of these, the Dragon Dreams Oracle. So I always have much to say, but I'm wondering if anybody has any questions for me about my books or my content. My content, honestly, it makes me uncomfortable, and I'm really stepping into it. And I feel like the village idiot often because I don't know what I'm talking about, but it seems to resonate with people. And it took a lot of courage, especially with the gemstone readings, because for me, I would swirl them around, and I understood, okay, if, hummingbird, like I mentioned earlier, needs to be in the north. Well, what if hummingbird's not in the north? What does that mean, right? And so I made connections that applied to me. But then I would be online, just like online right now, except I wasn't hosting, somebody else would be hosting, and people would share out, and I'd think, well, what do the gemstones have to say about this? And I would just toss them, and I would get insight, and I would share it, and people were like, oh, that's so interesting, that resonates with me. And it's like, okay, good, because I really don't know what I'm talking about, as part of my controlled remote viewing, that's one mantra they really belt over and over again, as having the humility to radically accept that you have no idea what you're talking about. So even if you're describing a soccer ball, it's black, it's white, it's rubbery, it's round, it's this, it's that, and you're like, that's a soccer ball. You don't know that for a fact. That's what your subconscious mind is presenting to you. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a soccer ball. So going back to my comments earlier about spirit guides and whatnot, when I first had my severe panic attack, my spirit guides were very helpful and everything. But some of them were intrusive entities and they had to go. And I was very taken back by that when I did my shamanic training. I haven't even written about this yet, but when I did my shamanic training, we had to go through the Andean medicine wheel. So you start out in the south and then you become snake. Then you go to jaguar to the west and then you become jaguar. Then you make your way to the north and the east. And by the time you make your way around the whole medicine wheel, you've taken in all the animals. And now you're what's called Quetzalcoatl, who's all the animals wrapped up into one bird. The bird with the four-legged bird with the snake tail, that's who I'm talking about. And there's different versions of medicine wheels out there. I talked a little bit about that today in my Buy Me a Coffee post. Hummingbird is the Andean medicine wheel. There's other medicine wheels out there. They say butterfly. It's the same shit, different pile. Okay? But some people, they don't see it that way. But for what it's worth, we all come from the same source. And I do believe that all paths lead to the same God, creator, whatever you want to call it. And it's very powerful because, today we have the internet, but not that long ago there was no internet. In fact, not that long ago there was no such thing as power. And people from different parts of the world were telling the same stories, or they had a medicine wheel that basically was same shit, different pile. Just different names, different archetypes. And when we talk about emotions and feelings and shadows, that's where we can get lost down the rabbit hole with categories, because is it a spirit guide? Is it a power animal? Or is it the archetype and that archetypal energy that you're taking in, which could be positive or negative? Very interesting. But anyways, some of my spirit guides ended up being intrusive entities. So when I went through the Andean medicine wheel, we had to have an openness to undergo certain things, because if I was going to be doing illuminations and extractions and helping people with cord cutting and soul retrieval process, that I needed to know what that was like. And I also needed to be the healed healer, right? You can't be helping people and bawling your eyes out and getting triggered, So I was really surprised and taken back by a lot of things, like when I knew snake was going to be rough because it's all about shedding the skin. Well, then you get to jaguar, and that's pretty rough too, all the transforming and transcending and facing of the shadows. And then you get into the hero's journey business, right? Triangle of disempowerment. So then I remember really looking forward to hummingbird, the north. The north wind is the strongest wind, and it's all about high quality items. You know what? The north wind is very fierce. Let's just put it that way. And then finally, for me personally, the winds of the north was way rougher than jaguar or snake. And I remember thinking like, oh my God, I thought I was supposed to be healing and getting better, not falling deeper down some rabbit hole in my own misery. But that's how many layers there were. And I have a very studious side. So when there's due dates and readings and stuff like that, and I'm meeting online with my colleagues and mentors, I like to keep up, right? And I was starting to fall behind because I had to have so many extractions done. And I could go on with my studies in terms of reading the information, but as far as rites of passage went and my own healing and alchemy and energy field, that wasn't going to grow and move or alchemize until those layers all got sifted out. So I remember I fell right behind in my homework because of that. And my teacher, she kindly reminded me that after the program is finished, that there's a 1 month grace period to submit our case studies and whatnot, because, things fall behind for certain reasons. But I just couldn't believe I don't even know how many extractions, countless, is just one after another. And it's like, when am I going to get to the soul retrieval? All I'm having are extractions. And you know what? Extractions are not like in the movies at all. And one of my extractions, I haven't written about this, but I will be writing about this. See, and that's the thing too now. Like, I remember when I wrote book 5, Sacred Phoenix Heart, most of this book wasn't even in my dream journals. It just was downloads that I was receiving. And as I'm writing the book, it's funny, but not funny, because I'm getting exhausted. And it's like, here's another download for you. And it's like, oh my God, thought I was wrapping this book up. And it's like, and you see, it's like, the biological one known as Gina is getting tired. Keep persevering, Gina. Get this information down. Don't worry if it doesn't make sense. I'm like, okay. So there's always so much to say. So I'm just checking in the comments here. Anchor Haven's inspiring, saying that it's inspiring. And she says, I'm trying to create something to publish. Well, honestly, just do it. Not that you ask me for any tips or tricks, but just do it. Do it. Like, I don't know if you were tuning in earlier when I was talking. I had zero energy, but I mean, if you have no energy or really good energy, you just talk into your microphone or here, whatever, and put it on Microsoft Word and put it on dictate. Sometimes it doesn't get the words right, whatever, but at least you'll have a written thing. Okay. This summer that passed, 2025, when I published the Dragon Dreams Oracle, starting to feel fatigue again. And I thought, oh no, don't tell me it's this bullshit again where I'm targeting myself because I'm afraid of my own success, right? So the committee of the ones who listen, it was their idea. I recorded myself on Zoom. So I went outside and I sat at the table and, you know, working with my imagination, the committee of the ones who listen, they're all there. And then I talked to myself on Zoom and I recorded it, and Zoom kept the transcript. So that was very handy. And then you have the transcript to work with. And I'll tell you something. Like, this was my first time, 2024, publishing a book. And publishing the Dragon Dreams Oracle, there's too much to say. There's too much to say. Like, I had to take all that information and reduce it to 1, maybe 2 little paragraphs per card, you know? And I thought about maybe publishing me talking on Zoom, but I say things in there that aren't exactly appropriate because it wasn't intended to publish the me talking to the committee of the ones who listen. You know, but anyways, I didn't think I was good enough to publish. Otherwise, I would have published years and years ago. But something that I always tell my students is that, like, before I learned about publishing, was talking is writing. So if you can talk, you can write, right? And Julia, you're a really good example because you host your own show and you do lots and lots of talking, right? Like, people who know me and don't know Julia, you never see Julia's face, right? She's always in the chat. But Julia, she shows her face all the time on social media, right? So check out her YouTube channel. But it's like, you can go back to those very transcripts, cut and paste them. And I've come to learn this is actually a problem with people who are plagiarizing. Yeah. So now I'm off topic now, but like, you know, I guess I'm on topic because we're talking about story medicine and how we publish is part of that. So, but it happened to me where I was meeting with this guy regularly on Zoom, and he would insist that we recorded it. Let me just put my background back on. And so I was like, no, I don't want to record this because I'm in my pajamas, right? Like, we would seriously meet at like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. And we would talk about dreams. And it was really awesome up until the point where I realized he was presenting my content as his own. And he never gave me credit for it, never ever said, oh, I was having an interesting conversation with Gina and this and that. I had no idea until I upgraded Zoom And that's when I realized, oh my God, everything that I say on Zoom that I record, there's a transcript and my email sends me a copy. Now, I wouldn't rely on the email because sometimes it says Zoom minute assets were not able to record, or whatever it says. It wasn't able to document. But I met with this guy, and it had been a while since we met. And then we met and we talked a lot about the Archangel Michael. And then lo and behold, who's got a video on YouTube about Archangel Michael? And it's everything, I swear to fucking God, it's everything that I said. So I told this person, I said, you need to come clean or I'm never working with you again. And we have yet to work with each other since. So I will hold this person in the highest light because they were there for me in a time when I really needed somebody to talk to. But arguably, this person needed me to help them also heal. And it brought a lot of awareness to me personally about things like plagiarism, like I said, people stealing other people's ideas. Earlier, when I was talking about trying different oracle cards and whatnot, I personally didn't understand the difference between tarot and oracle. And then when I started to learn, the oracle really resonates with me because I find tarot cards are basically dictionary definition cards. And if you can pair those dictionary definitions and metaphors with the intuitive piece, then to me, that's pure gold. That's a real intuitive, psychic person who can make the connections. Otherwise, in my strong opinion, and it is my opinion, it's severe imposter syndrome, people who have phenomenal memory recall, who will just recall what this card is about. And 2 decks that I bought, which I threw in the garbage, one, well, I put them in the recycling. One was about emotions, and the other one was about animals. And that's basically what it was dictionary definition. So today's tarot card is this animal. Can you relate that animal to me? You know? And Gary's from Tucker and I is saying, that was pretty low of them to do that. And no matter if he helped, he stole from you. Yeah, right? Yeah. And I don't know, a few months ago now or whatever it was, I saw somebody on Facebook talking about Zoom or whatever, and it sounded like somebody was stealing their content. And I sent them a private message and basically shared what I shared. And they were like, oh, thank you for the insight. Yeah. So anyways, I always have too much to say. I've been live here for about an hour and a half, thoroughly enjoying my time with you. So I don't want to make any big announcements, but the Promise of Spring conference that we hosted March 14th, it was an absolute success. We've got lots of positive feedback. See you, Julia. Julia's sneaking out there in the chat. We got phenomenal feedback, and we're doing it again. The next conference is going to be Saturday, June, is it 13th? I forget. It's on the Saturday. But you can check out my YouTube. There's a promo video floating around. I'm still figuring out presenters. So make sure you follow me on Buy Me a Coffee, like and subscribe to my YouTube, turn the notification settings on so you never miss a thing. And my intention is no promises for next week. Like if there's no guest, then I'm the guest. And I always have lots to talk about with my stories. So I'm never worried about being short of content. But my intention is that the presenters, the dragon speakers at the June Summer Daze conference will be guests on this show. I don't want to drop names because we're still finalizing who the presenters are going to be. There's going to be 6, and I'm not sure who the keynote is. And I'm really delighted about it. It's going to be a phenomenal, phenomenal day. So if you're just tuning in, you'll have to catch the replay because I'm about to say goodbye to you. But today, I was open to answering any questions in the chat that had to do with my books. There wasn't any. That's okay. if you think of any, just save them for next time. The free Facebook group, the Dragon Dreams Soul Tribe Collective, member engagement is low. It's always been low, and that's okay. You know, the Dragon Dream Soul Tribe Collective, they like to take it all in. It's not because they're shy, right? And a lot of folks who belong to the Dragon Dreams Soul Tribe Collective, they like to observe. They like to be that conscious observer. And again, taking it in. And there's also a lot of dragons who they're very uncertain of their uncertainty. So be certain of your uncertainty. Come hang out with us, engage in the chat. Dragon Dreams Oracle. So we went from dream journals to this, to published books, and then this was the published version of the Dragon Dreams Oracle. And I don't know if anybody out there can relate, but like all of these cards have a special energy to them, but some of them in particular, like this one, it's like very strong energy. And when I was drawing this card, it was like it was coming to life. And there's other cards in the deck that are like this too. And maybe on a final note, this is a good card to end things with, because you can see he's got lots of purple on him, right? What's up with that? Well, I remember thinking, oh no, I did it again. I grabbed the purple instead of the black. It was intentional. He's supposed to be purple like this. So in my dream journal, there's some pictures where the sky is all purple. It's supposed to be purple, but initially I was screwing that up. Or like I would draw a picture of a black cat. I thought maybe my deceased cat's Spooky. No, it's some other purple cat. It's my purple dragon, actually. Galactic Garfield. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Galactic Garfield. I think he likes that. So there's no shortage of things for me to talk about. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. I'm live every Tuesday, 1:30, Story Species, Story Medicine. When I don't have a guest, then I get to be your guest. And oh yeah, that's what I wanted to say. There's a playlist on my YouTube, and there's ample videos of me reading directly from here. So if you can't afford to go out and buy them, you very much still have access to them. And I'm always interested in what resonates with you. I feel like the Purple King always resonates with me, and the Gnome King, and well, there's just so much to say, right? But have a look through there, scroll through it, make a note of the book I'm talking about, and then next time you can have conversations with me. So on that note, it was such a pleasure to be here today, chatting it up with you on Story Species, Story Medicine. I'm not sure who my guest next week is going to be. It might be me again. We'll see. And also, if you wanted to book services with yours truly, please book those services now, because why are you waiting, right? If you honestly think for a second that you have an intrusive entity, then that means every single moment that's going by, somebody is feeding off of your life energy force. And nobody has any business being in your energy force field at all. It's very easy to test for intrusive entities. And if you require mind reprogramming, in my experience, it doesn't work until you clear the intrusive entity. So anyways, I'm just getting passionate now. But, you would I always say this, you would never allow somebody into your house and just randomly allow them to start decorating. I don't think so. So why would you let somebody inside your mind and allow them to start redecorating your thoughts, feelings, and opinions? I don't think so, right? I don't think so. So on the literal level of snake, if somebody's trying to beat you up, I can't help you out with that, okay? But if you've got like the ghosties spooking you and haunting you or spirits, come and send them my way, because I come from a place of indifference and I have an energy signature. And now with my training with the 4 winds, things have really, really smoothed over. And there's actually always ghosts and spirits around me. And often they're just waiting for an opportunity to take part in your session, believe it or not, so that they can go through portals and stuff like that. And so when I don't have a client, often I'm just doing, like I've got these stones here. Now I'm just going into overtime, but when you book a session with me, this is pretend you. So I call your energy field, and then it's like you're lying down here and I balance all your chakras. And when I don't have a client, then I invite any ghosties or spirits who may or may not need it. And I just really enjoy talking. You know, like I said, I was a teacher for 20 years, but I feel these days I prefer to facilitate instead of teach. So, yeah, and it's true. Somebody was asking about the blood stains. It's true. It's my menstrual blood. So on the original Dragon Dreams Oracle, you can find, you might not see it right away. When I first started stamping the cards, I just took my bloody tampon and it was like stamp. And I was mindful to stamp it in a place where you could see it. But then I just started stamping it wherever. It's there. So there's a lot of energy in these cards. And it's like, once you notice the sacred stain, it just like the card changes. And I actually gifted Julia. I couldn't afford to print and send her. These are a bit costly to print. If you know of an affordable place that I can use, let me know. But I've been meaning to ask her if she's had a chance to really look at them yet, and if she's finding that they're having an effect on her energy, hopefully in a positive way. And my books as well. Let me know, because there's an energy in there. All right. So thank you so much for your time today. Gina, Virginia, Casella here. I'm the one behind the Dragon Dreams Soul Tribe Collective and so much more. Energy medicine practitioner. I do all kinds of things. But one of my favorite things to do is just hang out here with you and talk about our dreams, talk about synchronicity. And I look forward to continuing that with you and all the good times that we have to look forward to. So on that note, take care, Dragon Dream.